is Alex from Heaven, New York, here at Aftershock Festival in 2022, and today we are here with the founder of Punk Rock and Paintbrushes. We are here with Emily. Thank you so much for being here.
You're so welcome. I'm happy to be here.
It is so awesome to have you here. For people who may not be aware of what Punk Rock and Paintbrushes is, can you give like a brief little history or sort of an introduction to how this all came together?
Right. So Punk Rock and Paintbrushes is an art collective that is primarily of career musicians who are also visual artists. So in 2007, I went into remission from cancer, and I created this art piece with a friend of mine, Tim McElrath from Rise Against. I painted the ribbon, and he painted lyrics to his song Survive. And we auctioned, or someone had mentioned that we should auction that piece off, which we didn't. I have it still. And then we made an organization called Rock Against Cancer, which just basically bettered the lives of those fighting cancer, those, been affected by cancer. So what it entailed was people who have been affected by cancer, they paint these ribbons to commemorate the color, like if it was breast cancer, they'd paint a pink ribbon. And then we reached out to a variety of bands to paint lyrics on top, and then we auctioned them off. So that was Rock Against Cancer. And we've had, folks from Guns N' Roses to Depeche Mode to, again, Rise Against or No Effects, everyone from punk rock to metal to actually Slipknot. That's how me and Corey Brennan first met. And we auctioned them, and then all of these musicians who were only going to do the lyrics actually stepped up and told me they were visual artists. So they started painting their own pieces, like James Schaefer from Korn. He told me he wanted to do a piece for his aunt, and he submitted the piece, and it's absolutely amazing. He's a trained artist. So it's because they're best known for their music doesn't mean they don't have these other talents. So long story short, a friend's gallery was closing. We put on an art show with 4 people. I think it was like Matt Skiba, Warren Fitzgerald, Hunter Bergen, and Jason Cruz. So there's 4 of them. And we put on an art show, and it was rad, and then we just kept doing it, and here we are. So it was very much a happy accident.
And you got some great artists exhibiting here today at Aftershock Festival, ranging from Lizzie Hale of Hailstorm to Chad Smith of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Just how did you find all these people, and how did you figure out that they were visual artists?
A lot of musicians are artists out there, but they're being elevated by their peers, and they're reaching out to me because they're seeing their peers, their colleagues, their friends being a part of Punk Rock and Paintbrushes. So if they are, then they're more motivated to do so. There's different ways I've found out. Management has contacted me. They let me know that they have an artist, they want to be a part of it. And so it's not just the visual, or it's not just the professional musicians who are the artists, but it is also the family members of, the wives, the children, the friends, the community, people who work in the music industry. So it's a much broader spectrum at this point. We definitely, coming here, what we'll do is we'll look at the lineup, we'll curate the show accordingly, we'll speak to the DWP team. They'll send out emails to a variety of bands, like Lizzie Hale. This last 2 weeks is the first time we ever showed her art, because we were in touch with her management, and people will say, hey, do you know that Jay Weinberg is a fine artist? I don't know that. And so now, we reach out and we make it all happen. So it's more them, working with us. Something we did do, though, people have contacted me and asked, why do we only work with career musicians, or why don't we work with your common folk? But it's just not what our business model is. But we did, on these last 3 shows with DWP, we did a nationwide contest where we had people submit art and their statements about art, and that was so rad because it exposes other artists all over the United States to be a part of the show. And so that's essentially, I do want to motivate, I do want to inspire other artists to be a part of it. And so as far as the artists we currently work with, I'm really wanting to give them as much work, especially over 2020. They were all sitting at home, and so Punk Rock and Paintbrushes also was elevated because we were able to move their art. We created our coffee table book, and we got I hope we help them like getting some funds going and selling their art and so forth, because they clearly, there was no live music at that point.
And the final question I have for you is you have all had a very, very busy year this year, from a fantastic exhibition in New York City to having great community exhibitions here at the past DWP festivals. What else can we be expecting from Punk Rock and Paintbrushes in the future?
Right now, with like this month, we're going to Las Vegas, Orange County for festivals, and we're actually going to Japan the end of the month, which I've never even been to Japan. So I'm going with Jason Cruz and Steve Caballero and myself. So it's a very small group. And then we have our holiday show. So we're kind of home for a bit, and then we have our holiday show in December, and then we're off for a bit. And then next year, we'll see what festivals, what art shows, and so forth. So the winter, we will probably be on like the low key. We may go overseas, but we'll see. The socials are just Punk Rock and Paintbrushes, or we have our website, which is punkrockart.com. That has some information, but I'd say like the socials are usually have like the most up-to-date things we have happening. So.
Thank you so much.
Well, everybody, be sure to check out Punk Rock and Paintbrushes. You do not want to miss it if you want to see other sides of your favorite musicians. We will see you next time, Aftershock 2022.